Hello, kindergarten, and welcome. This week, we are going to be reading the story, This is the Way We Go to School, a book about children around the world. Our author is Edith Bear, and our illustrator is Steve Bjorkman. But before we read this story, we have a question that we need to answer. Our question today says, how do children around the world get to school? So right now, I want you to take some time and I want you to think about different ways that you get to school. I know that some of you might ride on a bus. I know that some of your grown-ups might drive you in a car. And I know that some of you might walk to school. When I lived really close to our school, I used to be able to walk there because I only lived about a block away. It only took about 5 minutes to get there, so I didn't really need to drive. But now that I live really far away, I can't walk there because it would take me a really long time. So now I drive my car there. When I was in school, I also used to ride a bus. And sometimes I'd be on the bus for a long time, like about an hour. That's about 2 SpongeBob's worth. It took a little bit. But now, kindergarten, we're going to be looking this week, and we're going to get to see all the different ways of how kids all around the world get to school. Because there's more ways of getting to school than just riding in a car, walking to school, and riding on a bus. Can you think of any other ways how you could get to school? Okay, save those for me because I want you to email me and I want you to let me know the other ways that you thought about on how you can get to school, okay? The next thing we need to do before we read our story is we need to talk about our comprehension skill this week. A comprehension skill helps us use clues from the story to figure something out, like characters. We can use clues from the story to figure out who the characters are. Remember, those are people or anything that acts like a person in a story. We can also use clues to help us figure out what the main idea is, and that is what the story is all about. That's what our main idea is. But this week, this is what our comprehension skill says. I can use clues from the story in order to draw conclusions. So our comprehension skill this week is drawing conclusions. And our sentence gave us a little bit of a clue about what that means. So it says I can use clues from the story. So that means that you can use things that you see in the story or things that you read in the story, and that can help you figure out a question in the book. You can also use things that you already know. So let's practice this one time together. I'm going to take our book for this week, and I'm going to open up to this page. I'll get closer so you can see. So we can see on this page that there is a lot of what on the ground? There's a lot of snow on the ground. We can see all the white snow right here. And we can look here and we can see these really tall Christmas trees. These are called evergreens, and there's lots of snow in them too. And then if we look even closer, we can see these 2 kids right here. Can you see what they are using to get to school? They're using skis. Have any of you ever used skis before? They're flat. They go on the bottoms of your shoes, and then you use poles, and those help you push through the snow. That way you can slide on the snow. So we can use those clues. We can use the clues about the snow and the skis and the trees that look like Christmas trees that are green all year round. And then we can use clues, things that we already know, to figure out where they might be. So right now, what we know from the story is that there's snow, and what we know is that there are places in the world that have snow all year round. Can you think of any place in the world that has snow all year round? That might be where these 2 kids live. Kindergarten, before we read our story, there's one more thing we need to do. We need to talk about our new vocab words for the week. All right, kindergarten, so now we're going to talk about your vocab words for the week. And we're going to do this just like we do in the classroom. Today, all I want you to do is make a guess in your brain. I'll tell you the word, and you just look at our pictures here, and just make a guess in your brain. If you want, if you have a grown-up by you or a brother, sister, or cousin, you guys can make guesses together, okay? Here we go. Our first word is cable car. Which one of these pictures do you think shows the word cable car? Our next word is trolley. Go ahead and look at our pictures and see if you can find a picture that matches the word trolley. Our next one is skis. See if you can find a picture that shows skis. And remember, we already looked at skis in the book. So see if you can find a picture that matches what we already looked at. Our next word is horse and buggy. Horse and buggy. Remember, this week we're drawing conclusions, so use the words I'm saying to help you draw a conclusion about which picture might match horse and buggy. Our next word is metro line. See if you can find a picture that matches the word metro line. And our last word, kindergarten, this is not an English word. This is actually an Italian word, and this word is vaporetto. See if you can find a picture for vaporetto. So now that we've talked about our question for the week, how do children around the world get to school? And now that we know our comprehension skill for the week too, using clues from the story and clues about what we already know to draw conclusions, and since we've already looked at our vocab words for the week and made guesses in our brains, now it's time for us to finally read our story. This week we are reading This is the Way We Go to School, a book about children around the world. Our author is Edith Bayer. Remember, the author is the person who writes the words. And our illustrator is Steve Bjorkman. And the illustrator is the person who draws the pictures. Here we go, kindergarten. 1 by 1 or 2 by 2, come along, it's fun to do. Ellen takes it nice and slow, time to watch the flowers grow. Liz and Larry, as a rule, wear their jogging shoes to school. But at 20 minutes past, roller skates are twice as fast. And the fastest way by far is by school bus or by car. Jenny, Jerry, Pete, and Perry ride the Staten Island Ferry. Cable cars take Jack and Jill up the hill and down the hill. Michael and his friend Miguel see the rooftops from the L. Horse and buggy rides, it's plain, start the day for Jake and Jane. And in Philly, Mitch and Molly go to school by trackless trolley. Bianca, Beppo, Benedetto ride aboard the Vaporetto. Bundled up against the breeze, Niles and Solveig go on skis. Palm trees help keep Ahmed cool on his sunny walk to school. Mira takes time out to play. School's a hop and skip away. And watch Seth and Heidi sail through the air from peak to vale. Akenia leaves for school by train far across the mountain chain. Kay and Faye and Flo and Joe go to school by radio. Bicycles bring May and Ling through the traffic of Beijing. And beneath the dripping sky, Ram is riding high and dry. William comes ashore by boat, counting seagulls while afloat. Carlos takes the town in stride. Luz prefers the countryside. And the famous metro line suits Igor and Ilana fine. Go by copter, by skidoo? Somewhere, sometimes, some kids do. You come too, we'll look for you. That is the end, kindergarten. So remember, this week we are talking about different ways that kids get to school. And I know that right now we are going to school this way. We're doing it through videos online. So that's another way that kids can go to school. We also saw in our story that some kids go to school by radio. Next time we read the story, we're going to stop and we're going to take a closer look at how kids go to school. I'll see you guys next time.